Breaking, police release report with claims the FMR British PM raped an 11-year-old boy. By Matt Agarist, October 5, 2017. On Thursday, Wiltshire Police in the United Kingdom released the finding of their years-long investigation into the alleged pedophilia of the Right Honourable Sir Edward Heath, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain. The results of the investigation, dubbed Operation Conifer, are scathing, to say the least. For years, the citizens of the UK have been calling the lack of investigation into the former Prime Minister a cover-up by the state. And, for years, they were right. As TFTP reported in February, more than 30 people have now come forward with claims of sexual abuse by the former leader of the Conservative Party, and PM police investigators said the victims all gave strikingly similar accounts of the sexual abuse and none of the individuals were known to each other. Despite victims' claims falling on the deaf ears of authorities for years, one good cop decided in 2015 that he was going to look into them. As the Sydney Morning Herald reports, Wiltshire Police Chief Constable Mike Vila said the findings were a watershed moment for those who believed that there had been a state cover-up for senior figures involved in child sexual abuse. Wiltshire Police have spent the past 2 years reviewing allegations of crimes by Sir Edward against 40 people, including 2 while he was Prime Minister. The allegations included child sexual abuse and rape and indecent assault, physical abuse, and sexual abuse against an adult. Each allegation was investigated, and in 24 cases the police took a direct statement from the alleged victim. In their concluding report, released on Thursday, they said that in relation to 7 of the alleged victims, the evidence they gathered would have warranted Sir Edward's interview under caution. Because Heath is now deceased, he is unable to stand trial, and police noted that it would be inappropriate at this moment to conclude the guilt of Heath. Advertisement. Read more. After 500 DC kids go missing in 2017, police advise kids to stay home to avoid sex trafficking. Paul Mills, the police commander for Operation Conifer, said Sir Edward would have been interviewed to obtain his account in relation to the allegations made against him. It is clearly inappropriate to speculate what his response would have been, and no inference of guilt should be drawn by the decision to interview him. However, Vila noted there were compelling and obvious reasons to investigate the allegations about Sir Edward Heath, according to the Herald. He was an extremely prominent, influential, and high-profile person, arguably one of the most powerful people in the world, he said. Mr. Vila believes the investigation signals a watershed moment for people and victims who have suggested or implied there has been a state cover-up for some senior figures who may have been involved in child sexual abuse. The alleged offenses against those victims were: in 1961, allegedly raping and indecently assaulting an 11-year-old boy during a paid sexual encounter in private. In 1962, indecently assaulting a 10-year-old boy during a chance encounter in a public place in the company of another adult male. Around 1964, indecently assaulting a 15-year-old boy during 3 paid sexual encounters. In 1967, indecently assaulting a 15-year-old male in private during a chance encounter in a public building. In 1976, indecently assaulting, over clothing, an adult male at a public event. Around 1992, indecently assaulting an adult male after consent was withdrawn in a paid sexual encounter in a hotel. Around 1991, indecently assaulting a male aged between 12 and 14 during a chance encounter in private gardens. While there is no formal guilty finding, earlier this year, as TFTP reported, Vila regarded the allegations as totally convincing. Read more. U.S. laws have legalized pedophilia with children as young as 10 years old and no one is stopping it. According to the source at the Daily Mail, Mr. Vila believes in them 120% and thinks they are totally convincing. There are very close similarities in the accounts given by those who have come forward. The same names used for him, the same places and same type of incidents keep coming up. What stands out is that the people giving these accounts are not connected, but the stories and the details dovetail. It contains disturbing stuff. Investigators have been shocked by what they have learned. The police were initially skeptical about the allegations, but now believe them. And they have come round to the view that they were covered up in the past because of who Heath was, said another source speaking of how the alleged crimes were covered up. According to investigators, Heath's estate claims that he could never have committed these crimes because he did not have the ability to drive a car. However, multiple photographs, witnesses, and videos show that he did drive and he did have a car. Heath. After losing his chauffeur-driven car of which he was entitled to as the PM, he purchased his own vehicle. According to the report in the Mail, the disclosures come after several senior politicians dismissed the allegations against Heath as absurd and unfounded. Former Tory Foreign Secretary Sir Malcolm Rifkind complained Heath's reputation was being besmirched. Heath's sexuality has been the source of much speculation over the years. Some believed he was gay, others said he was asexual. At one point, he was being investigated by no fewer than 5 police forces: the Met, Wiltshire, Hampshire, Kent, and Jersey. The claims, some of which have been proved false, include alleged links to a convicted brothel keeper known as Madame Ling Ling. A paedophile dossier compiled by Labour peer Baroness Castle said he offered young boys trips on his yacht, and in a separate incident one man claimed Sir Edward picked him up hitchhiking in Kent as a 12-year-old in the 1960s and lured him to his Mayfair flat. Labour MP Tom Watson also said he had received allegations about Sir Edward. However, the claims Mr. Vila is investigating, which date from the 1960s to 1990s, are not linked to the discredited evidence of the man known as Nick, who alleged a high-level paedophile ring. Interestingly, the Heath investigation in many ways mirrors the high-profile pedophilia scandal that has already gripped the UK, before being unceremoniously swept under the rug. In that case, historical abuse by politically connected elites, celebrities, and politicians was brought to light with an official inquiry being started only to have the inquiry crumble after heavy pressure was exerted by highly placed power brokers within the UK establishment. Heath may have just been lucky enough to escape the pedo spotlight back then. Read more: cop arrested for showing children his penis in Applebee's, still on active duty. Given all of the revelations on pedophilia coming out of the UK establishment, the idea of a massive pedophile ring among the elite can hardly be written off as speculation. However, even in spite of police noting that the allegations are serious and warrant further investigation, ex-Tory MP Matthew Parris dismissed the allegations, saying, "If Heath was a child abuser, I'm an aardvark." Ridicule, as we all know, is one of the easiest ways to distract attention away from the truth. Sadly, it almost always seems to work.
I'm Mike Veal, Wiltshire Police Chief Constable. Today, Wiltshire Police have published its report into Operation Conifer, the investigation into allegations of non-recent child abuse against Sir Edward Heath. Wiltshire Police, on behalf of the National Police Chiefs Council, took on this investigation knowing that due to the public prominence of Sir Edward Heath, both during his life and after his death, there would be significant public interest, comment and intense scrutiny. I recognise that Operation Conifer had the potential to damage confidence in Wiltshire Police, a force that I am proud of and which has a commendable and strong reputation. This damage, I believe, would be due to the views held by some about investigating allegations concerning deceased individuals. Some may have challenges around the costs associated with complex investigations at a time of budget cuts, and perhaps some who may have intransigent opinions and will always defend the conduct and behaviour of others, whatever the veracity of the allegations. Mindful of this, I have ensured that this investigation has been conducted fairly, objectively, with respect and without fear or favour. We have gone where the evidence has taken us, whether it supports or negates the allegations. Most importantly, the report does not draw any conclusions as to the likely guilt or innocence of Sir Edward Heath, or make any comment on the action that the Crown Prosecution Service may have taken had he been alive today. I have absolute confidence in the Operation Conifer investigation team, knowing that they would conduct a high quality and ethical investigation, where fairness, proportionality and integrity have remained at its core throughout. Every single decision and element of this investigation has followed the guidance from Operation Hydrant, the National Police Chiefs Coordination Hub for non-recent child abuse investigations. At no stage has there been any deviation from current advice, guidance and legislation. The Operation Hydrant advice is compelling, legal and proportionate. There is an obligation to conduct an investigation into allegations to establish the facts of the case, to identify offenders, whether deceased or alive, and bring any living offenders to justice. Most importantly and most obviously is the duty to protect and safeguard children and adults who may be vulnerable to abuse today. I would ask others to be mindful that when investigators received allegations of child sexual abuse, the investigation team did not know what it did not know. They did not know the circumstances, the veracity, the risks, the implications, or the vulnerability factors. Until a proportionate, professional and objective investigation was conducted, it would be impossible to identify and safeguard children or other vulnerable adults who may be at risk today. The safeguarding and protection of vulnerable people will continue to be the primary reason for conducting this investigation, and my team has not deviated from this legal and professional responsibility. Children or adults who allege that they are being abused or have been abused must have the trust and confidence in the police. They deserve to be listened to. They deserve to know they will be taken seriously. They deserve to know that the police will support them, and they deserve to know that their anonymity will be preserved. That is what I said we would do, that is what we have done, and that is what we will continue to do without fear or favour. There have been many views expressed as to whether the police should investigate alleged offences committed by a deceased suspect. Notwithstanding the guidance, I believe this was the right moral thing, ethical thing and professional thing to do. But I appreciate that every case needs to be judged on its own merits. I am satisfied that there were compelling and obvious reasons to investigate allegations made about Sir Edward Heath. As I've said, Sir Edward Heath was an extremely prominent, influential and high-profile person who was arguably one of the most powerful people in the world commensurate with his public office he held. The allegations against him were of the utmost seriousness and from a significant number of people. I hope people will understand that given these circumstances, it would be an indefensible dereliction of my public duty as a Chief Constable not to have investigated such serious allegations against a former Prime Minister, even though he is deceased. I have been clear from the outset that at the end of the investigation, in line with our intention to be as transparent and open as possible, we would publish a summary closure report, and that is what we have done today. The publication of this report is also in line with guidance issued by Operation Hydrant. The report has been scrutinised by a number of stakeholders and contributors to ensure complete balance, accuracy and measure, and only makes findings that can legitimately and realistically be made. The report provides a factual account of the context of this investigation, what the investigation focused upon, and how the investigation was conducted. Operation Conifer, by its very nature, was complex, politically sensitive and unique. Due to these unprecedented circumstances, I have sought confidential advice, counsel and support throughout from a number of people. That confidentiality between me and those individuals will remain intact. The role of the police is very clear in the criminal justice process. The police have a duty to investigate and go where the evidence takes them. It is not our role to prove innocence of guilt, but to present the facts. Therefore, this report does not apportion guilt. It does not suggest or conclude guilt, and no inference should be drawn from the investigative decisions or conclusions being made by the police. Extreme caution has been given so that no assumptions are publicly drawn about the truths or untruths. Presumption of innocence is enshrined in our law and is the cornerstone of a just and fair judicial process. Despite misleading and inaccurate commentary, nobody from the investigation team or I have made any public or private comment or inference as to the hypothetical outcome of a judicial process if Sir Edward Heath were alive. Any such comments or hypotheses would be flawed by their very nature. They are misleading and they distort the criminal justice process. Wiltshire Police has and will continue to do all that we are able to protect the anonymity of those people who have come forward. This report will therefore not identify the details of any people who have made disclosures of sexual abuse. I understand that there is an insatiable appetite by some to identify the victims. I will do everything in my power to prevent this from happening. In order that this investigation remained justified and proportionate, an independent scrutiny panel was established to check and challenge the investigation. The panel members were given responsibility to examine and test the decision-making and the approach by the investigation team. The panel has been provided with detailed briefings, material, and more recently, full access to the published report. This scrutiny has proved invaluable and enabled Operation Conifer to remain firmly aligned to the legislation and objectives of this investigation. I would like to thank the members of the panel for their time, their expertise, their challenge, and their support to the investigation. In addition to the independent scrutiny panel, Operation Hydrant was asked to conduct 2 reviews of the investigation itself. Both reviews of the investigation concluded that it was proportionate, justified, and in compliance with the guidance. Further scrutiny took place during the course of the investigation with a value for money review by Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary, which was commissioned by the Home Office further to an application for central funding. This review concluded that resources deployed to this investigation had been proportionate and reasonable and commensurate to the scale of the investigation. They made particular reference to the strong governance, strict financial controls with the staffing levels which have been kept to a minimum with low associated costs. In total, 24 people have worked on this Operation Conifer at varying points. The cost of the investigation to date is £1.5 million. The Home Secretary has recently approved Home Office funding of £1.1 million to take into account that this was an investigation carried out on behalf of the National Police Chiefs Council and commissioned by Operation Hydrant. This decision made by the Home Secretary, I believe, underlines the Prime Minister's personal commitment to addressing issues of child sexual abuse that in the past, as Mrs May said last week, have tended to be sidelined. During the last 2 years, there has been much commentary in relation to the potential for a judge-led review into Operation Conifer. At this time, I have not heard compelling reasons for such a review, and therefore I am not persuaded to follow this course of action. As I have said, I am clear that it is not the role of the police to judge the guilt or innocence of people, and it is obvious that at the end of an investigation concerning a deceased suspect, there is no potential for a criminal trial. Most of the elements of the judicial process are absent. It is my view that the suggestion that a retired judge or other judicial appointment could legitimately pronounce the guilt or innocence of Sir Edward Heath is ill-conceived. I believe this would neither provide value for money or indeed a legitimate outcome of the guilt or innocence of Sir Edward Heath. Throughout this investigation, I have been very clear that Wiltshire Police will be as open and as transparent as possible, in line with our requirement for the police to remain accountable to the public. It is only right that when an investigation with such significance is conducted, the people like me who make these decisions should be held to account. The public should be able to judge the leadership of such high-profile operations based upon the merits and quality of the investigation that has taken place, and not misleading speculation, rumour, or inaccurate conjecture. The publication of the summary closure report today provides the openness, transparency and public accountability that I said that there would be, and the report author has complied fully with Operation Hydrant guidance on publication. It will now be a matter for others to evaluate and decide what steps should be taken in relation to the Operation Conifer findings. I recognise that this investigation, the findings and the summary closure report may raise further questions. But I also believe it signals a watershed moment for people and victims who have suggested or implied there has been a state cover-up from senior figures who may have been involved in child abuse. As many people will know, ICSA, The independent inquiry into child sexual abuse was set up in March 2015 by the then Home Secretary, now Prime Minister Theresa May. The inquiry was clear from the outset that it was required to identify the extent to which state or non-state institutions have failed in their duty of care to protect children from child sexual abuse. I acknowledge the terms of reference which are currently publicised on the ICSA website regarding allegations of child sexual abuse and exploitation by people of public prominence associated with Westminster. I particularly welcome their focus upon allegations of institutional cover-up and conspiracy, and that they will review the inadequacies of law enforcement responses to these allegations. In light of this, the legitimacy, the legality of this investigation is more relevant and more crucial than ever before. The public interest in this case is clear and unequivocal. The statutory responsibility as the Chief Constable to have conducted this investigation without fear or favour, I trust is now obvious to all. In closing, I would like to make a few further important points. I want to send a specific message to those who have come forward as part of this investigation. I know it takes bravery and courage to do so. I hope that you feel we have listened to you, we have taken you seriously, and you have been treated with dignity and respect. People who are victims of abuse in the past, now, or in the future should be reassured. Reassured by the way in which Wiltshire Police have listened to victims and survivors, and reassured that no matter who the alleged perpetrator of abuse is, we will take your allegations seriously. We will investigate, no matter how difficult that may be. That said, I will remind you again that this investigation has drawn no inference about Sir Edward Heath's guilt or innocence in this case. Operation Conifer has now come to an end, and the ICSA's terms of reference are clear. This watershed moment regarding investigations of people connected to the establishment should not be underestimated. When the Prime Minister was the Home Secretary, she said in Parliament, "We have to send a clear message to everyone involved in the protection of children that there can be no excuse for failing to protect them or failing to bring perpetrators to justice." Finally, I would like to recognise and thank the Operation Conifer investigation team. The scrutiny panel believes that the investigation was fair, sensitive and rigorous, and this applies to complainants and suspects, including Sir Edward Heath. I am proud of the team's compassion towards victims and survivors throughout this investigation. The team have conducted themselves with diligence and expertise. Their values have enabled this investigation to be completed to the letter of the National Police Chief's guidance. They have not buckled under the pressure of relentless external speculation and criticism. They have not lost sight of the need to fulfil the principles of this investigation. They have maintained the highest standards of professionalism in the face of persistent negative commentary to ensure that this investigation has not been hijacked or derailed. For that, for their dedication and commitment to carrying out their roles without fear or favour, they are to be commended, and I thank each and every one of them for their service.
Need a car? Don't forget to stop by carmarshal.com where you can scout through over 100,000 new and used car vehicles. Take a look around. Get you a new affordable car. carmarshal.com.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I found that I had to make a change this ending on my videos, letting you know about the channel and fair use laws, you know, how we can report on other people's reporting and how it's good, how it's bad, etc. But you guys can look it up yourself. It is legal. It's in there. But like I've told you before, that I've been cut off from making money on YouTube for 4 years. It's really weird, bizarre, but they cut the money off, but they said you can keep the channel, and now YouTube makes all the money. And if you get bored, plug it into Social Blade website, and you'll see that they are making a huge amount off the site. Right now it's at 63 million views, 53,000 subscribers, almost 3 million views a month. You know, trying to wake people up, and I make nothing. In fact, I got a customer that's ex-congressman. He said if I could ever find a lawyer, sue YouTube on it. But because this is nuts, 4 hours a day, and to save America, you know, but at the same time, it's worth it. Look at what our founding fathers did. They died for this country. So, but getting back to the money part, this is why I'm redoing the video. Is my dream of everyone giving $1, and it's going to be $53,000 a year, or if they did Patreon, which you know, can be monthly. That is not working. That'd be great if it did. Nothing is perfect. And I appreciate the people that do donate, you know, what they can on PayPal. And there again, I'm letting you guys know that is not much. Is, you know, monthly is, oh my god. So anyways, yes, you cannot live on it. It's very, very, very low amount. But the dollar things, I do appreciate that. But when I first said everybody give $1, that's not working. I'm just letting you guys know it's, yeah, that dream. Everybody gives $1. 53,000 subscribers, it's not working. So yes, if you can give more than that, you know, I appreciate it. Like I said, you know, I'm in a unique situation where, you know what, we're already debt free, and I'm not rich, but with the little business that we have, I am able to do what I am able to do 45 hours a day, you know, letting you guys know what's going on. In 4 years, I've did the whole thing myself. 12,000 videos on there. I literally get emails where people are like, holy crap, I never knew it was this bad. And it is this bad, and it's getting worse every day because we have the internet, we have cell phones, we have cameras everywhere now, and it's just disgusting what's going on. And then, as you guys know too, we got Trump, we got Jeff Sessions doing a war on drugs, and now he wants to go after the forfeiture laws again. It's just unfreaking real. So if you can give more than that dream of everybody giving $1, yeah, that old video, that's not working. They're not, they're just not. So anyways, if you can give more than that dream is not working. Hardly anybody is giving. There you go. So that's why I'm remaking the video. If you can give more than that, that would be great. And there again, like I said, the Patreon's there. There is some people on there that are starting to give, but there again, it's very, very low. And like I said, I don't want to get rich off of that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, it's still so stinking corrupt. It's not even funny. My court case that I'm going to be paying out of my pocket myself with Charlotte County's coming up. They illegally looked me up and then posted all my information on LEOAFFAIRS website. They basically doxed me, however you want to say that. I forget what the word is, and they outed me, man. And that information on that site went out to 500 sheriffs, deputies, people that work at the jail, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, it is very, very scary, but we're going to do a federal case, 1983 case, violating freedom of speech. We have 17 cameras in the house now. We got 2 cameras in the car. I always carry a camera plus a cell phone. A lot of people are highly recommending I get a vest now. If I could, if the wife would let me, I would run for sheriff. We are trying to push the thing nationwide right now, where just to mix it up and to get the topics out there is register to run for sheriff, NPA, no party affiliation, as a write-in, and that is completely free, and you can participate in the elections. And there's a lot of stuff. We got a guy, James McLinnis in Pinellas County, Tampa, who almost won. He experienced the corruption himself. The story is unbelievable. Look him up. It's mind-blowing what they did. It pissed him off. He is very, very smart. He has way more money than I did. He ran for sheriff at the last 3 months last year in 2016 and almost won. He got all of the black vote. And the reason why he did that is because he ran in, I will not bust, we're in Florida, I will not bust anybody for weed anymore unless it's an ungodly huge amount, like pounds. And then he also ran in, no more victimless crimes, no more of this freaking road pirate bull crap. And then he was going to cut the budget by 30%. And when you think about that, you can. If you stop the road pirates, you can get rid of a bunch of people. Gone. So, the wife has been saying, yes, I can, yes, I can't. So I don't know. We're trying to find somebody that can do it because I am busy doing this anyways. But so I'm making a video, like I said, that $1 a month from everybody, you know, for 53,000 subscribers, that is not working. I'm just letting you guys know. Absolutely give way more than $1 a month if you can. I appreciate anything. By the way, remember too, when you give that, PayPal takes like freaking 15 to 20%, so it's even worse than that. But and there again, like I'm letting you guys know, it's way what I get is very, very low. Appreciate it, but it is very, very low. Can't live on it. I'm just, you know, I'm working, and that's what I'm working on. And that court case is going to cost a buttload of money. That's federal court. Just the filing fees and the depositions that we're going to be doing with this corrupt cop. So there's another reason to give. We are going to be doing a deposition with this very corrupt. He was in a drug squad. He is a bad guy. He's on steroids. We heard steroids are rampant here. That's why their attitude is so bad. And we are going to get him on video, and it will be on YouTube. So that case alone is $5,000 just to bring it to court, and that's my money out of my pocket. So there's another reason to give, and give way more than $1 if you can. So keep that in mind. This is the new video, and I see, God, I talk a lot. It's already 7 minutes, but had to make it just to let you know that $1 a month from everybody is not working. They're not doing it. So if you can give more than that, please. So thanks. Keep it up. Share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, send me your videos on corruption, and I'll post it.